In this video, I'm going to explain what replicated storage is. So we have two parts that make up a game in Roblox. We have the server, which is what holds most of the main code that runs your game, and then we have clients that are connected to the game. So the clients are just players, okay? And like I said, most of the game logic that you will write, most of the code, will be written on the server, and this is what controls the game, because anything that the server does will get replicated to all of the clients. So if the server inserts a part into the game or inserts a map, then all of the players are going to notice that map appear, because that change that's been made on the server is going to get broadcasted or replicated to the connected players, aka clients. Okay, so the server is the thing that has the authority. It has the power to make those changes. However, if a client tries to do something like that, if they try to insert a map, or if they try to delete the map, or if they try to, delete other players, it's only going to take effect on their end, on their computer, okay, or on their device. They are only going to be the ones that see that change. If they try and delete the map, it's only going to get deleted for them, okay? Other players in the game won't see that, because the server is the only thing that can make changes that replicate to other players, okay? And that's why you have a server and you have clients, because the server is what is keeping everything secure, okay? And only actions like that, destructive actions, can be done on the server because it has the power. Now, the server, like I say, that is where you're going to store most of your code. It's where your maps are going to be stored. It's where information you don't necessarily want to expose to players will be stored, okay? And that's really good, because we can store things that we don't want players to be able to see. We might not want them to have access to all of the different weapons in the game that can be purchased, okay? We might not want them to see all of the maps. We might not want them to be able to see who the game has chosen to be the murderer. Otherwise, an exploiter could just open up their exploiting software, which, by the way, essentially gives them the powers that we have in Roblox Studio. Okay, nowadays exploiters on Roblox have got software which will let them view what's inside the Explorer, okay, and what's inside players and what's inside the lighting. So we have these services that are exposing parts of our game to players and bad actors if they go looking for it. So like I say, anything that's in the workspace is going to be replicated to all of the players in the game, so they'll be able to see that. And then we have server storage and server script service. And the difference here between the workspace and these two services is that the contents of these services, the server script service and the server storage, remain private. Okay, they do not get replicated. They do not get broadcast to all of the players in the game. It is a safe haven for your maps, your information that you don't want players to see, your scripts, to be stored. Because as a player playing the game in client mode, you'll see I can't expand these two services. I can't see what's inside, if there is anything inside. But if I switch to server mode, you can see that, okay, there's still no arrows, but if I was to insert something into here, maybe it's a secret folder that I don't want players to see, or maybe it's a part. Okay, it's inside server script service, or it's inside server storage. We can see it on the server, but we cannot see it on the client. That is the good thing about server storage and server script service. It makes parts of the game only visible to the server. However, there are some things that we do want the server and client to see. So replicated storage is just a place where the server can put some things and they will get sent to the clients. So it is similar to workspace. The only difference between workspace and replicated storage is that whatever's in replicated storage is storage, right? It's not going to be rendered on the screen. It will be accessible by a client, and yes, an exploiter will be able to see what's in there, but we're not going to put anything there that's particularly damaging. It's just like a storage area where, things that may not necessarily we might want to make visible to clients right now by rendering them on the screen. Okay, we might not want them on screen right now, but we don't mind them being there. We don't mind them being replicated. So let me just show you. If I was to insert a folder on the server in replicated storage. And don't forget, the server still maintains the authority here. If the server creates a folder in the replicated storage or any other item, if it places an item into replicated storage as the server, that folder is going to replicate to all of the clients. So all of the clients will see this brand new folder in replicated storage. However, we're now back on client mode. Let's imagine I'm an exploiter, okay, and I'm trying to add a part into replicated storage. I'll call it cool part, I'll make it massive. I'll do whatever I can. I'm going to try and put loads in there because I want to try and somehow overload the server because I'm an exploiter, okay? So I've tried to now insert all those parts, but if we go back to the server, you'll notice they haven't replicated back to the server, and they won't replicate to other clients because, as I was saying earlier, only the server has the power to insert objects and alter objects inside of here that will replicate back to other players. So that is replicated storage. So what is it mainly used for? Well, it's mainly used to store one of the main use cases actually is it's used for status bars. So I don't know if you've ever played a game and you notice that it has a bar at the top which says intermission or next map loading or seconds left in the round. But what will happen usually to make those work is there will be some kind of value in replicated storage, and the server will write to that value from the server scripts, and it will change the value to say intermission. And then on the client, the players, there will be some sort of client code that listens for a change in that value, and when it changes, it will update the GUI for that specific player, and all players will see that message. It's great because the server can broadcast the text. Any exploiter can attempt to change the text if they want, but it's only going to change on their end because any changes are only replicated if they come from the server. So I mean, what else can you store in there? You can store things such as, if you had a game with multiple worlds and each world has its own egg that you want to show when you enter that world, you might want to keep all of the eggs in replicated storage and then just locally bring them out of replicated storage whenever you enter a specific world. You're not too bothered if the eggs, if an exploiter can pull the eggs out of there, it's not going to cause too much damage, but you want the user to be able to see them, for example. So replicated storage, just a great place to store anything you're not too worried about the client seeing. Yes, I suppose you could potentially store maps in there as well if you had worlds and you're not too bothered, but the only thing that you do have to think about is, like I'm saying, an exploiter, if they wanted to, could pull the stuff out of there into the workspace, albeit they'd only be the ones seeing it. However, that's what the risk you've got to take. That's you've got to be comfortable about what you're putting in there. Now, another point is we've got replicated events, remote events, remote functions. These allow the server and client to communicate with each other, to send messages. So this is a great place to store them. You can have your remote events, which are stored in replicated storage. So both the server and client can see them. The client can then attach a listener event to them to listen out for when they get fired from the server, and then the server can fire them. So we'll get onto those in another video, but that's why this is an ideal place to store remote events, because in order for them to function, they need to be visible by both the server and client, and that way they can still only be fired from the server because it's going to replicate to other clients. Now, I know I'm also going to get comments saying, well, what is replicated first? A brief overview of that is that the difference here is replicated first will be replicated to all clients, okay, but not the server, and it will be replicated first before anything else. So if you need something to be loaded for a client first, such as a loading screen, then you'd put it in replicated first. But there is no link to the server here. The server would not see anything inside of it. It would not be bothered by replicated first. It is designed for when a player first joins the game, you need to quickly load something for them first before anything else. Before everything replicated storage, you'd put it in replicated first. And that way, as soon as the player joins, you'd be able to grab it. And in that case, probably a loading screen, because the first thing you want to show is a loading screen, right? I don't really know any other use cases for it, but that is replicated storage. That is your replicated service. It's probably one of the most useful services that you're going to use. Like I say, you can store scripts, characters, NPCs, models, things that you might need to use at some point without then having to make a request to the server. Just keep it in replicated storage, and then you can take it out whenever you need to, and you can access from your local scripts in the starter GUI, starter pack, starter player. You can access all of this stuff. But if you try to add stuff to replicated storage from your local scripts in your starter GUI, starter pack, it's not going to do anything, right? It's only going to be visible to you. The server isn't going to see it. Other players aren't going to see it. Only stuff that gets replicated to other players is the stuff that the server puts in there, because the server has the power, has the authority. So let me know if you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any more videos on replication, remote events, server client stuff. It is very interesting. It is a bit hard to get your head around, but I hope this helped. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.